98 FM's Dublin Talks. Call 6797
Thursday morning, good morning. How are you today? This is Adrian Kennedy, and from now until midday today, this is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. And we, as we always do, have a lot of stuff to get through on this morning's programme, including a little bit later on. I want to talk about coronavirus paranoia. Or is it? That's the question I'm going to be asking. After we heard last night from a mammy, and mammy's child, 6-year-old, due to go to a birthday party in one of those plays-only type places at the weekend. And mammy doesn't want the child to go now, basically, because of coronavirus. So I'm going to be talking about that a little bit later on, and much more besides between now and midday today. But first off on the programme, did you see the first episode of the new Virgin Media TV series, Garda Inside the K? Kicked off last night, and there was a big reaction to it on social media. Many people have been taking to social media to praise the amazing work that the Gardaí do and the chronic abuse that they have to put up with while doing it. One scene showed a Garda standing there and taking dog's abuse from a thug who was hurling homophobic abuse at him for several minutes. This was so bad, by the way, that I can't even play it on the air because of the time of day it is. The abuse that this guard had to put up with. Anyway, the show is very good. It's giving a no-holds-barred look into what it's like to be a member of the Gardaí in the front line, from breaking down doors to the aftermath of shootings, and it's all based around Garda District K, which covers Cabra, Blanchardstown and Finglas. However, one thing that came out of the show, and a lot of people have been saying this, was the need for Gardaí to be fitted with body cams to record the abuse that they get on a daily basis. This footage could be used as evidence in court. But how would you feel about being filmed if a Garda was questioning or arresting you? Do you think having body cams would make their job easier? Now, it's an idea that's been on the cards for several years, but is still yet to happen. It does happen in other jurisdictions where the police have body cams. Last year, the Irish Council for Civil Liberties took issue at the idea of Garda body cams when it was being proposed by Justice Minister Charlie Flanagan. Here's what they said last year. As far as we can tell, there is no clear and conclusive evidence that these cameras are serving any purpose. Different studies give different results. In some jurisdictions, the distribution of cameras to police forces actually saw an increase in violent action. Most cameras can be switched on and off at an officer's discretion, and they said that the assumption is that all police officers are honest. I'm joined on the line to explain a little bit more about their position by Liam Herrick, who's the Executive Director of the Irish Council for Civil Liberties. Liam, welcome to 98 FM.
Good morning, Adrian.
Liam, a lot of people would say, especially after seeing some of the stuff that the guards have to put up with on that programme last night, that of course Gardaí should have body cams. What's your objection to this?
Well, first of all, Adrian, I mean, the issue that was depicted in the programme, does show how difficult a job the guards can have, and it's very important that we protect and empower the guards to do the job that they're doing. And assaults on guards are very serious offences, and there's a lot of laws there to deal with that. But obviously we need to look after the health and safety of guards to the greatest possible extent. And guards will regularly identify that some of the equipment and the resources that they have are inadequate for the job that they do, and I think we need to listen to that very seriously. But the specific issue about body cameras, we would argue that one of the difficulties here is that the benefits of body cameras have been oversold, and the benefits that have supported the introduction of body cameras in a lot of US police forces and also in British police forces, it's basically the argument is that, first of all, it helps with the prosecution of crime, and second of all, it improves police behaviour. And the motivation, particularly in the United States, for body cameras came because of the significant number of instances where armed police officers had killed members of the public, particularly members of the public from racial minorities. So that was the motivation, not something, thankfully, that applies at all in this jurisdiction. So there was some initial research that supported the rolling out of body cameras in the US, which suggested that there was an improved pattern of crime detection and an improvement in police behaviour and a reduction in killings by police officers. The problem is that later research completely contradicted that, and larger research pools in the United States have indicated that if you look over longer periods of time, body cameras actually don't seem to have any significant impact on either public behaviour or police behaviour.
So do you believe, this is the key to this, if somebody is stopped by a Garda on the street for questioning or whatever, on suspicious, acting suspiciously or whatever the case may be, is it not a good thing that the Gardaí have some sort of a record of what happened leading up to talking to this individual? And I'll give you an example. About 2 years ago, I was in Liverpool. Okay, and to my shame, I was having a cigarette and I flicked the cigarette butt down a drain. Okay, and within seconds, a litter warden ran over to me, challenged me over what I had just done, said he was giving me a fine, and he had a body cam on his chest to prove what I had just done. So I was banged to rights. Now, surely that is a good way of proving that something has been done wrong.
Yeah, well, you're very honest to make that confession yourself, Adrian.
Yes, I'm admitting it. I flicked a cigarette butt away.
Well, let's think through this, though. I mean, if you have a police officer or another public official in that case which observed you doing it, and most reporting of crime by police is that they will vouch that they have observed an offence taking place. And it's
but it's his word against my word, or my word against his word. With this particular incident that I'm talking about in Liverpool, now he did eventually let me off with it because I was a visitor, but he had the evidence.
Yeah, I mean, I think Britain is an example of what direction of policing we want to go into. And the United Kingdom has the highest number of CCTV cameras in the world. They've moved towards body-worn cameras for police, and they're now introducing facial recognition technology in public places, like in high streets and at football matches. So what you have now in the United Kingdom is the police have built up a database of faces of individuals, and they can track and monitor individuals in public places. They have put the eggs in the basket of going down the road of surveillance policing. Now, in Ireland, we have chosen a different approach. And the Commission on the Future Policing, which is a very broad programme of reform from Garda Síochána, puts the eggs in the basket of community policing. And it talks about investing in better relationships between police and communities. Now, the programme last night, from what you've said, indicates the sharp end of things when things go wrong and the guards have to deal with conflicts. But the vast majority of engagements between Garda Síochána and members of the community in Ireland are positive and constructive ones. We have an unarmed police force.
Okay, so therefore, and this is the whole point, if you've nothing to hide or if you're not up to any wrongdoing, then it won't bother you at all being filmed by the Gardaí. The only people that would have a problem with it are people who are up to no good.
Yeah, I mean, I think the nothing to hide, nothing to fear is the recipe for a surveillance society, which we are seeing certainly in places like China, and we're increasingly seeing in countries like the United Kingdom. Other countries are moving away from that because they see the downside. And the first aspect of the downside is that it completely changes the relationship between police and members of the public. If people are being filmed, surveilled, that creates a barrier between the public and the police. And over time, that creates a much more conflictual relationship between the two. It also shows from studies that it changes the public's behaviour, because if you are being surveilled on an ongoing basis, it has a chilling effect on your behaviour. And of course, it also then opens up the possibility of misuse an invasion of privacy. So what we've seen as well is that if you use cameras on a much wider scale, it opens the possibility of abuse and misuse of cameras. For example, the possibility that police might start filming people in private spaces when they're behaving lawfully, when they're not causing any suspicion of crime, and the potential misuse of that data. We had a tragic case in Ireland a couple of years back where film of a young person undergoing a mental health episode was filmed and then distributed inappropriately, which had some tragic consequences for that individual. So, there are downsides which are not getting as much, I suppose, attention as the overstated benefits. And I think we just should be a little bit more cautious about going down this road. I think that the blueprint of community policing is what we need to invest in. But of course,
I know, but again, I'll bring you back to some people were shocked by what they saw on that show last night. I personally wasn't, because I'm aware that this is the sort of rubbish that the Gardaí have to put up with day in and day out. The fact of the matter is that a lot of people, and in fact I'm going to run a poll on this in a second to ask whether or not people would support the Gardaí having body cams. A lot of people do support the idea.
Yeah. I know that they do, and I mean, it was the Commission of Future Policing, which broadly talks about investment in community policing. It did talk about body cameras being a positive policy option. We disagree with them. I mean, I think part of this is because there is an exaggerated sense of the benefits that are going to flow from that. People intuitively think that if there is this film recording, that first of all, it can't be tampered with, that it'll always give an honest impression, which isn't the case. Cameras can be deflected into particular areas, they can be turned on and turned off. And also there's this view that it will have a positive effect on behaviour. And what we're saying is actually the evidence doesn't suggest that. At first glance you might guess that would be the outcome, but in fact the evidence suggests that it's not. So, I mean, we should of course look at everything on a case-by-case basis and do a cost-benefit analysis, but we think on this one, the results aren't what you might think that they would be. And really, we would say if we want to invest, because of course this costs money, and there is a finite amount of resources, the investment should be in boots on the ground and actually human capital. And if we really want to address problems of antisocial behaviour and crime in parts of the countries where there's concentrations of this, it's about investing and giving guards the time to build positive relationships, particularly with young people. Mind you,
when I saw some of the people that some of the guards had to deal with, they don't want to build any positive relationship with any type of guard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, and there is a long compendium of criminal law statutes to be used in those situations.
Okay, so as far as you're concerned, we have no need for Garda body cams, and in fact, to go down that road is going down a slippery slope to us all being surveilled like they are in China.
Well, I'm not saying that, obviously if you introduce this, that we inevitably end up in a situation like in China, but I am saying that it's the wrong direction of policing to go in, and it is the road that Britain has gone, but it's the road that countries like parts of the United States are actually retreating from. Like what we've had in the last couple of months is some cities in the United States banning facial recognition technology by the police. On the other hand, Britain is introducing it. So, there are choices here, and of course it's all about money, Adrian, at the end of the day as well. There are a lot of technology companies that are developing these new technologies, body-worn cameras, CCTV and facial recognition technology. Okay, it's in their interest to sell that.
Of course it is. Okay, but let me just finally turn this on its head. And there have been many, many, many examples of Gardaí being filmed and publicly humiliated by people videoing them. So surely they should be able to have the opposite. They should be able to film what is going on. And you've seen countless examples of the Gardaí being published on social media after being filmed at whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think where we have seen the use of filming coming in is at protests, or, for example, if there's a serious public order incident where some of the people taking part in that event might be filming people, and the guards might use film as well. I mean, the case for a very specific and focused use of filming is somewhat different. So, like, for example, in some of the incidents that were in that programme last night, if a riot develops, for example, if a large-scale public order event comes place and the public order unit have to come in, that, you could see where there might be a case in some instances where a crime is already being occurred. There clearly is already a crime taking place of the bringing in of filming. That's a whole different ballgame, though, to having every police officer carrying a camera all the time and having the potential to film their interactions with the community. So
is it not as similar as people, and in fact we're being encouraged now to have, for example, dash cams in our car because that can film everything going on around you? It's the same sort of thing, really, isn't it?
There are dangers with technology and there's possible benefits. We have an increasing phenomenon as well of people using inappropriate filming of other people and violating the privacy. So this is a complicated area. Of course, this is because of the potential of new technology. But again, it's a different situation where a crime has taken place and the guards are trying to gather evidence, for example, from CCTVs outside shops and so on like that. It's a different question from filming everybody on an ongoing basis. I think there are other ways in which we should invest our resources with the guards that are more urgent and more pressing, and I would say that that's where we should be prioritising our resources at this time.
Liam Herrick, Executive Director of the Irish Council for Civil Liberties, thank you very much indeed for talking to us on 98 FM. And I would like to hear from you on 6797981. I want to run a Dublin Talks text poll right now. And after watching, maybe you didn't see the documentary last night, but if you did, and knowing the sort of crap that the guards have to put up with day in and day out, this is the question that I want to ask, and I want you to vote. I want you to text either yes or no to 0877 98 98 98. Would you support the Gardaí having body cams? That's a simple question. Yes or no. And send it to 0877 98 98 98. So simply text the word yes or no to 0877 98 98 98. Would you support the Gardaí having body cams? Martin, I'm going to talk to you straight after the break. Would you support the Gardaí having body cams?
Yeah.
Okay, stay there. I'll be with you straight after the break.
The sound of the city from Adamstown to Artane. Dublin Talks. 98 FM's Dublin Talks.
Thursday morning, good morning from Adrian Kennedy. We're here until midday today. A new documentary, a four-parter, started on Virgin Media 1 last night. Gardaí Inside the K, which is probably, in fact, to the credit of the production company, probably the most access any television crew has ever gotten to our police service here in Ireland. Really, it was just unprecedented access. And what it did show, I forget where it was filmed. Because I know that was a focus of conversation last week about, that it was highlighting Blanchardstown and Finglas and Cabra in a negative light. And yeah, it may do. But forgetting all of that and forgetting where it was filmed, look at the sort of rubbish that the guards have to put up with. And if you did see the programme, you'll know what I'm talking about, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about anyway. One particular guy squaring up to her, come on in, oh, you're a queer, you're this, you're that, and I went at him for ages and ages and ages. Now, most of us would have lost it. This guy was very chilled, very relaxed. But the point, what we took out of the show is the need for the Gardaí to have body cams. Now, keep your votes coming in because we're running a Dublin Talks text poll and a very interesting result so far. We're asking you, quite simply, yes or no, would you support the Gardaí having body cams? Text yes or no to 0877 98 98 98. Okay? Text yes or no to 0877 98 98 98. Would you support the Gardaí having body cams? A huge response to this as well. Now, Martin, you were saying yes, you would support them. You were listening to the Irish Council for Civil Liberties there, and well, you disagree with a lot of what he was saying.
Yeah, you counteracted everything he was saying, and he hadn't really got any good comebacks on it. I've seen, I'm from the Killock area, and I've seen a lot of stuff with guards, good and bad.
Yes.
And the thing is, on the bad side of it, if you look at it, this kind of cuts out a lot. It cuts out anything that people are saying that the guards are doing, or the guards are this and this and this. A body cam cuts out all that from them. They can't lie and they can't go on the way people go on either.
And in fact, yes, if we look at this from the other side of the coin, and we have to accept that the odd Garda might misbehave, him or herself. So this stops that as well. Yeah,
we don't see a lot of the stuff, even on the show, of what led up to all them situations. We just seen the situations that prevailed from all them and all the stick they were getting. There's stuff that you don't see leading up to them situations as well, and them situations will always be seen then, So it benefits both sides of it, but then it cuts out a lot. Whereas if someone's not going to deny things like you, would you admit that you threw the smoke away if you hadn't seen his camera?
No, and that's exactly the point. No, and like I said, I was literally banged to rights. He had me. There was nothing I could do. He had it on video, and only for I was a visitor, I would have been fined there and then.
True enough, and because you just admitted it as well and put your hand up, you probably apologised, and he was like, right, fair enough.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So it cuts out a hell of a lot, and it just makes sense. And I'd say the objections to it is probably going to cost a fortune to do it, the government and whatever. But look, it's a positive.
I don't actually think it would cost a fortune. You can buy dash cams in Lidl for 30 quid. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it would cost a fortune.
And that's a very fair argument. You says was dash cams are being encouraged by everyone, so you can see what's happening. It's the exact same thing. I'd like to hear from a guard, what guard's point of view would they like to have.
Well, I know senior rank and file Gardaí have called for body cams, yes. So they want it. They think it would make their job easier. In fact, I got a message from a security guard there a couple of minutes ago, and he was basically saying that the best thing that ever happened for him in the shopping centre that he was working in was they got body cams, because he'd get lip from young fellas and whatever, and he'd say, I am switching on my body cam now, and they'd walk away.
Brilliant, yeah, because you see it when when guys are cycling along the road and they have the cams on the helmets, and people are giving them stick out the window, or they're doing something on the road, and they look and they see the camera and they show up straight away, just drive on. It's the exact same thing.
Okay, stay there for 1 second. Jay, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Jay?
Adrian.
Jay, you don't think we're ready for body cams? Why?
No, our guards are well behind the rest of Europe.
Meaning what?
And America. They're just not advanced enough. I mean, we don't even trust them with weapons yet. We've a handful there with weapons. I'd change my mind if they had no control over the body cams. If they couldn't turn them on and turn them off to suit themselves, and if it was monitored by an independent company, maybe. Because we all know they can't be true.
Okay, so you don't think that our police force are ready for this?
No, they can't be trusted. Jesus, we gave them a drink driving thing to do, and they came back with 2 million. And sure, their own record showed that they only took in 1 million tests, and yet they were able to produce 2 million worth of tests. No, they're not trustworthy. I mean,
Martin, what did you say to that?
Themselves.
They're not trustworthy.
I understand where he's coming from, but he's actually dead right. If they had the control to turn cameras off in situations, you have to be able to not.
Okay, so you're saying, Martin, that yes, this would work, but only if the camera was on all the time.
Continuously, yeah. And then maybe, obviously monitoring backed up the way a house camera would. It only goes back so far.
Yes.
It had to be on it and then deleted when nothing happens, So it'd have to be definitely like that. You couldn't be able to switch it off, run amok, and then switch it back on when he's giving you abuse, Which no,
that would be a concern, I have to say. I never even thought about that until Jay just said it.
Me neither.
No, me neither. So, Jay, you're probably right. If the cameras were on all the time and maybe they recorded 6 hours at a time and looped over themselves or whatever.
Yeah, bang on,
without had an external hard drive that they could, because, I mean, as I said, it can be easily turned on and turned off. And I think, okay, it was a good programme, but you seem to be going on that it's all the lads' fault and all the jumpers' fault. The guards ain't too innocent in this themselves either. They're well known to antagonise.
Yeah, but
I don't know about you, Jay. Did you see the guy who was inside?
That's one.
Who was inside the gate? That guard never even raised his voice.
I'd like to show the videos of them antagonising the homeless people along the boardwalk. I was there one night, and I'm not homeless, as you know. I was a bit dirty dressed because I was only coming off a long week of work. And I was sitting on the boardwalk waiting on my country bus that was coming across the road. 3 homeless young men sitting beside me, not causing a problem to anybody. Nobody walking by. They're actually polite to tourists that were walking by. These 3 overzealous gobshites is all I call them, in that unmarked, which everybody knows, and decided to jump over the wall and just harass them because they'd nowhere to live. But you won't see that going out on the television.
Here, can I tell you, Jay?
I'm just saying,
you can say that they harass them and whatever, but the amount of people who complain to us about not being able to walk up that boardwalk because of the amount of drug addicts and whatever.
That's a different issue. The drug issue.
It's not really.
It really is. These lads weren't on drugs. I know by looking at them, they weren't on drugs. I'm a long time around them. You know people that were on drugs and they weren't. These lads were just, they had nowhere to live because of the rent. And they got dogs abuse, absolute dogs abuse, of 3 members of our so-called Garda Síochána just because they were homeless. You won't see that going out. So before you start jumping on your soapbox there and praising them, saying that they're the best, look what they've done to one of their own. Let's not go back down the Maurice McKay thing. Look what they've done there.
All right, stay there for 1 second, Jay. 6797 981 is our telephone number. You can text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. And keep your votes coming in, and I'll close it in just a moment. The question we're asking is, would you support the Gardaí having body cams? Simple answer. Text yes or no to 0877 98 98 98. And I'll give you the results of that poll in just one moment. Now, this message just came in to us. My husband is a Garda. I would 100% support him wearing a body cam. The crap and abuse he has to take is unreal, and I would feel happier going to bed at night knowing he is a little bit safer. I assume you're implying that a body cam would make him safer? I don't know if it would necessarily make it safer. Sorry, lads, that call's gone off line 1 there. Adrian says this message. I agree with Jay and Martin there that cameras are needed, and surely there's a way and means of, after each Garda shift, they take the cameras off them, place them in a bank where it's downloaded and charged and then monitored independently, so there's no risk of the footage being doctored or tampered with. And I'm sure there is. We have the technology. Paul, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Paul?
How are you doing, Adrian?
Now, Paul, what did you want to say on this?
Oh, I totally agree. You should have to wear body cams as well, you know. I'd actually insist on it rather than think it should be. I think it should be something we have to do. So, in the overall scheme of things, do you not think it would be better for Gardaí to have body cams than not? Yeah, that's what I just said. Yeah. I'd insist on it. I wouldn't. It's not like that'd be better. I'd insist on them having body cams.
Do you think?
I think it's ridiculous that they don't have them at this stage.
Now, and like you said, we have the technology. A lot of us have little cameras in the front of our cars.
The technology has been around for years, and the simple fact is we don't have body cams because most of the Garda don't want body cams.
No, that's not actually true, believe it or not, because...
Oh, it is.
No, because Frontline Gardaí have actually called for body cams. They want...
No, their association has, but the individual guards, they don't want them.
I don't know where you're getting that from.
Speak to guards, my cousin's one.
Well, you just heard the message I read from a Garda's wife there a second ago.
Oh, that's his wife. I'm sure she'd be delighted as well. But ask the guard himself. He probably wouldn't want to wear it though. Because I guarantee you, the amount of times that they'd be caught in the wrong would be more so than the people are dealing with.
Okay, so you believe that this is an essential thing. This is something we need sooner rather than later, whether the Gardaí wants it or not.
Well, should have been in years ago.
Okay, we're running,
and they shouldn't have control over them. They shouldn't be allowed to turn them on and off.
Yeah, well, I would agree with that, I have to say. We were asking our listeners to vote on our poll where we were asking, should the Gardaí, or would you support the Gardaí having body cams? 90% of our listeners said yes, they would support the Gardaí having body cams. I
can't understand why anyone wouldn't support it.
Well, 10%.
I really can't understand it.
10% don't support it.
I can't understand that 10%, unless they're the 10% that are guards.
I doubt 10% of our listeners are guards, but anyhow. Okay, so 90%, to you, what that says is, let's do this. There's no reason not to do this.
There is no reason not to do it, except that they don't want to wear it. But come up with any valid reason why not to do it.
Well, stay there for 1 second, because Niall O'Connor is a former Garda and journalist and all-round good egg, and he joins us on the programme. Niall, welcome to 98 FM.
Hello.
Niall, first of all, what was your reaction to that programme, which granted this television crew unprecedented access to the Gardaí?
I think it was an exceptional television programme. I think it's long overdue, and I think people now can look at that programme and realise what it is to be a Garda in Ireland in 2020. That is exactly what it's like. That is exactly what my memory of the job is. When I was stationed in Limerick, there's a lot of decent people out there, but there are some very, very bad people also, and it's the guards that deal with them, and that's what that showed last night.
And I know there was a lot of people last week when the promo was released suggesting that, it was giving a bad image of the area. A number of guards on that programme last night did say that the average person in Finglas, Cabra and Blanchardstown is a decent person. They just happen to have a few bad eggs, and they're as you said, they're the ones that the Gardaí have to deal with.
Yeah, there is a cohort of significant troublesome people in that area, and I think, look, I was a crime editor in Dublin. I would have spent an awful lot of time in and around that area. I think I saw, the murders that were on that show last night. I was out at those scenes that night. There is a significant problem in there. Absolutely, there's very decent people, and there's people, when I was a guard, I was stationed in my Ross for a year as a community police, as a community guard. And just like that, there was these kind of islands of hope, I suppose, down in these areas where people had pride in the place, and but there was a significant problem with organised crime in the area. I think communities need to also work with the guards, though, to be able to deal with this. But when it comes to the point, like it has come to the point in the K district, where there's a number of murderous feuds, then it's down to the guards to go out and deal with that, and that's what you saw last night in that programme. That's what it looks like, and that's how the job is done.
Okay, let me ask you then, Niall. We're having a conversation, and it's one of the things I took out of the programme last night, because what we witnessed was a camera crew following the Gardaí, so we actually got to see what was going on. It struck me that Gardaí having body cams would enable them to always see what's going on and always be able to prove what had happened at the scene. Are you in favour, like 90% of people in our poll are, of the Gardaí having body cams?
I am absolutely in favour of it. It would solve one significant issue at the moment, is criminals using the likes of GSOC to intimidate Gardaí. I would imagine it will more than have complaints overnight, because the lies that are being spoken about Gardaí and in these complaints to GSOC, that would end, because those body cameras would immediately solve that problem.
And in fact, I just heard an anecdotal story a couple of minutes ago of a guy who works as security in a shopping centre, and the best thing that ever happened to them was getting body cams, because as soon as they did, if somebody was giving him any grief in the shopping centre, he said, "This has been videoed on my camera here," and they just walk away.
That's it. And look, there's a lot of CCTV around now, certainly.
But it's not everywhere.
But and look, the other thing as well with body cameras is it's evidence that you can't deny. It is right there. I mean, if you are if the body camera is showing an assault of a Garda, then that assault is clear and present. And I mean, I would recommend anyone, for instance, to go into the Los Angeles Police Department, have their own YouTube channel. They put up body camera footage on a daily basis on that. And it is extraordinary to see and to view the value of body cameras in that given situation.
One of our callers a moment ago, Niall, said that the average rank and file Garda doesn't actually want body cams. Is that true?
Well, that's absolute rubbish. I don't know what that person is talking about, and I don't know if that person genuinely knows what they're talking about, to be honest with you, because ultimately the reality is that Gardaí for a long time now have been saying they need body cameras. And it's not only the Gardaí themselves anecdotally saying it, the GRA have been saying it, and so have AGSI. So, the Association of Garda Sergeants and Inspectors. So, this is right across the board. They want it. They need it. This is modern policing. And I think just in the same way that the guards have now decided that they're going to reach out and start showing people what their job is like, well, there needs to be a modern understanding as well that things like body cameras, tasers, all that sort of equipment, that's all needed for Gardaí, because that's what the modern era dictates, and that's why they need it.
Okay, Charlie Flanagan was trying to push this. It hasn't happened yet. Do you obviously would like to see this being brought forward by the incoming government?
Yeah, but I think there's some sort of a stall on it. I think certainly the outgoing government wanted it. No, I think anyone that's followed my writings and whatever over the last 7 years will know that I'm not a fan of Fine Gael and the way they've treated the Gardaí. It's been appalling, really, to be honest with you. But that is one thing that is a good thing, and they have said that, and they want to get that over the line. But the thing about it is that there is a lot of, we'll say, data issues around the retention of data, and I think that may be what's
holding this up. Yeah.
They're worried about how they will retain it. Now, look, I think it's like CCTV systems in communities that are to be rolled out, and they're being delayed because of concerns over data retention. So, I think that's the same issue in the Gardaí.
But ultimately, you'd like to see us getting there.
Well, they need to come, and they need to come quick, and because GSOC's work will be much more streamlined, because people will not be making vexatious complaints against Gardaí. I think every guard in the country has suffered a vexatious complaint. I certainly did when I was a guard, and that those body cameras would solve that. But even beyond that, evidentially they're superb. I mean, you cannot deny what you see in the camera. For instance, but then you see on the flip side, there's one of the civil liberties people has been saying that that they're a bad idea because it would add too much gravity to the Garda case. That is beyond absurd.
Yeah, it kind of is. Yeah, it kind of is. Yep. All right, Niall O'Connor, former Garda and crime journalist, thanks very much, Lee, for talking to us on 98 FM. That poll showed 90% of you support the Gardaí having body cams. This message came into us and it says, my husband is also a Garda. We had to move counties because Scroats followed him home and threatened our family. The crap they put up with it on a daily basis is disgusting. They should absolutely have body cams to protect themselves and the public. I had a black eye at my own front door years ago while I had a baby asleep, says that message from a wife of a Garda. Then this message says, this would protect the Gardaí and individuals. I have a friend who approached the Gardaí who has a system... who has a system is available. Sorry, I can't make head nor tail of that, actually. All right, look, thank you very much indeed for all of your calls. Actually, Alan, 100% support for this?
Absolutely, yes, I do.
Okay, I'm sorry to cut across because I'm out of time. And Mark, also 100% support?
Yeah, 100%.
And you believe it will act as an active deterrent?
Yeah, people have cameras at their home as a deterrent. Now, it's not going to stop people burgling, and people also have cameras in their cars as well.
So what's the difference here?
Yeah, what's the difference?
All right, good man. Thank you very much indeed. And a final message, why is there always issues regarding personal data in Ireland when other countries that use CCTV or body cams just get on with it? Ireland always finds issues where there are no issues with everything. All right, thank you very much indeed for all of your calls, comments, texts and opinions. You're listening to 98 FM's Dublin Talks. This is Adrian Kennedy with you until midday today. I have in my hand here a pair of passes for IMC Cinemas, and I will give them away to somebody who shares with us their pathetic first world problem. We're going to deal with that next.
The sound of the city from Balbriggan to Blanchardstown. Dublin Talks. 98 FM's Dublin Talks.
It's Thursday morning. This is Adrian Kennedy. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. And it is time now for you to share with us your pathetic first world problem. In the grand scheme of things, it's not really a problem, but in your world at this moment or at that moment, it was a problem. Let me give you an example of a first world problem.
Okay.
We got a lovely, lovely, lovely delivery earlier on of donuts.
Oh, Jesus, a crate of donuts. There's about 20 in the box.
A lovely delivery of donuts, yeah. And typical of the staff here in this company, they were like savages. And the donuts were snapped up fairly promptly.
Yep.
And there were only 2 left. So I got one of the 2 that was left. Here's my first world problem.
Which one did you get?
The chocolate one. Here's my first world problem.
Yeah.
It was too rich.
Too delicious, yeah.
Too delicious.
Yeah, too
sweet, too everything.
Too luscious.
Too luscious.
Yeah. I
even had to throw some of it out. Who throws a bit of a donut out? It was just too luscious.
I like a plain ring.
Yeah, no, that's
my cup of tea.
Yeah,
I like a plain ring.
Yeah, no, I do myself.
I'm a man of very simple tastes and very simple needs, and all this putting lemon meringues on top of donuts and sticking crunchies on top of them and putting cups of coffee on top of them and all this. No, I'm sorry. Give me a glazed ring. Do you like a glazed ring?
A glazed ring or a sugary one, either. Yeah, glazed or sugary. But they're both sugar, really.
And at a push, a bit of jam. In the middle. A bit of jam in the middle.
But anyway, my first world problem is I had a donut earlier on. It was lovely, but it was too luscious.
We have lost. This is very controversial, okay, Adrian? But we have lost the run of ourselves when it comes to donuts. Haven't we, though? Yeah. There's some donuts and they just are piled with stuff. I got a donut a couple of weeks ago and it had bacon on the top of it.
No.
Have you not tasted that one?
No.
Yeah, actual bacon on the top.
That's actually a thing.
That's the thing. Here, my first world problem is food related as well, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. So this morning on my way into work, I stopped off at my local shop to buy some strawberry yoghurt. Now, as you know, Adrian, there's very little yoghurt that I can take because I'm lactose intolerant. So, bought this big tray of lactose-free yoghurt in the shop this morning, yeah? Mm-hmm. Brought it into work, decided to have some yoghurt for my breakfast. Opened up the little pot of yoghurt, put the spoon in. No. Now, I know you have an issue with this as well. The yoghurt that I bought, and it didn't really display this on the box, had the little bits of the fruit in it. I cannot... Oh, I thought you were the same as me.
No.
Oh, you think you know somebody?
No.
Oh. Okay, I'm on my own again.
If it doesn't have bits of the fruit in it, then it's a petit filou. And I've seen the yogurts you eat. They're like a petit filou.
Well, they're lactose free.
But it's like a petit filou.
Well, I can't help the intolerance I have.
No, but the point I make... Hang on, having a bit of strawberry isn't going to affect your intolerance.
No, I've never... This is...
No, you have to have bits in the yoghurt.
I cannot eat yoghurt that has bits of fruit in it.
What's the point then?
What? I just hate it. Oh no. Same way I can't drink orange juice that still has the pulp in it. When you order...
But you love Club Orange. It's got loads of bits in it.
When you buy orange juice in Dunn's or Tesco's, do you go pulp or no pulp?
Pulp all the way, yeah.
Oh, we are so far apart.
Yeah, anyway, that's his first world problem. Mine is all to do with the luscious...
You probably eat your crusts on the bread as well.
I do, yeah.
Ah, yeah.
I do.
Ridiculous.
My favourite part of the bread. Leanne, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Leanne?
How are you, lads?
Good, thank you, Leanne.
Well, Leanne, before we go on, pulp or no pulp?
Oh, no pulp.
Thank you very much. Is there
Oh, God.
There's nothing worse than putting your spoon into a pot of Yoplait and there's a load of little bits of strawberry or whatever.
Yeah, no. Vile.
There, did you hear that, Adrian? Vile. She said vile.
Okay, Leanne, what is your first world problem?
Having to get into the car in the mornings and put the heating on to defrost the windows because you're too lazy to go back into the house to get warm water.
Well, I know I'm the ultimate and lazy. I bought one of these sprays, yeah?
Yeah.
That you just spray the windscreen and it melts all the ice, yeah?
Oh, lovely.
So it's
a bit posh, you.
Is it pulp or no pulp?
Hang on, it's only a tin I bought in Lidl's, for God's sake. It's nothing posh about it. But what I do now, this morning was an example. This morning the windscreen was frozen solid, yeah? So I just open up the glove box in my car, take out the spray, roll down the window and spray it out the window and sit there for 1 minute and the ice just streams off it. Great joke.
Oh no, we were getting hypothermia in the car now this morning, waiting on the windows to defrost.
Yeah, no,
Sorry, lads, can I just ask you, do you both live in like that place, what's it called, Arendelle or whatever, the place in Frozen? The place in Frozen, the movie Frozen.
It was cold this morning.
Not at all.
It was
icy this morning.
When I was driving out of my driveway, it was -2 this morning. It was cold.
Yeah.
Well, where do you live?
We're in the middle of Finglas, and it was all the cars and all the houses were snow white with the ice.
Well, where I live, there was not one drop of ice this morning, so lads, I don't know.
Where you're living.
Are you talking about Finglas in the Antarctic now, or Finglas in Dublin 7?
Is that Dublin 7?
Is it not
No,
Dublin
it's not
11?
Dublin 7.
Dublin 11.
Yeah.
All right, good to talk to you, Leanne. That's her first world problem. What is your first world problem? This is that thing that in the grand scheme of things isn't a problem.
And by the way, I think it's... now, someone will correct me if I'm wrong. Is it not very dangerous to pour boiling water over your windscreen?
It can crack it, yes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put boiling water. I'd put warm water, maybe.
What temperature are we talking here?
Warm. Tepid.
Lukewarm.
Because it needs to be warm enough that it won't freeze instantly again when it goes on to the
Give me a
windscreen.
temperature.
I don't know, 60 degrees.
60 degrees,
yeah,
okay.
60 degrees. Shauna, what is your first world problem?
That I'm terrified to cough on buses. I have asthma, and I'm terrified people are going to think that I'm just diseased up to my eyeballs.
Ooh, right. People are starting to look at people strangely, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. I did be wheezing me whole way home on the bus because I'm terrified to cough.
I was walking along, this is as true as God, Sean. I was walking along the road the other day, just around the corner from the radio station here, and I coughed and coughed and coughed. And when I tell you, I got filthy looks from people.
Did you put your hand over your mouth then?
Obviously, I put my hand over my mouth.
Well,
but I was getting dirty looks from people. So
yeah.
There's a lot of us, we get sick at this time of the year when it's cold and everything else. And you don't want to be looked at suspiciously that you're riddled with the coronavirus or whatever. You want to just be looked, oh, God love her, she's not well.
Yeah, but no, not getting any sympathy from anybody on any transport these days.
Yeah, exactly. So,
well, a friend of mine, here's the upside of if there's any upside of this coronavirus thing, here it is. My friend was at a gig in town last night, yeah?
Yeah.
And the venue that he was at in the gig, there was one men's toilet, and the toilet's always packed. And he was dying for a whiz. And what he did was he was queuing up to go to the toilet. He started coughing and spluttering, and everybody in the jacks just ran out. So he's on the queue for the urinal, Adrian, dying to go. He just started going, and he said literally everybody scarpered. It was like a mass exodus out of the jacks. So if you want to get people off a queue, if you're queuing up in the post office today, just start coughing. They'll run a mile.
Clever.
That's not a bad idea, actually. All right, good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed, Shauna. That's her first world problem. What is your first world problem? Call us right now on 6797981. Here's a first world problem.
We were supposed to be going to Malaga this morning, but during the week got a phone call off for an assessment. I had the young lad booked in for a last minute cancellation for this Saturday. I had to take it. We've been waiting months for it. So instead of sitting in the sun in Malaga now drinking a cocktail, I'm in work and I have to go to this assessment on Saturday. So holiday gone out the window.
What is your first world problem? It's 11 o'clock across Dublin. Good morning. This is Adrian Kennedy. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. And this is Trish with Thursday's top headlines.
Thanks, Adrian. 2 schools in County Clare will remain closed today after 4 people from the same family tested positive for coronavirus. The family had recently returned from northern Italy and are now being treated in hospital. Parents from 2 schools in Clare received text messages last night that they're to shut for 14 days after someone in each school tested positive for the virus. Efforts are now underway to trace anyone the family may have been in contact with. Garda are appealing for witnesses after a jogger was killed by a van in Raheny last night. It happened on the James Larkin Road just after 7 p.m. when the van mounted the footpath. The woman in her 30s was pronounced dead at the scene while the driver of the van wasn't injured. And a Garda investigation has been launched into an alleged sexual assault in the city centre. It's believed to have happened at a property on Lord Edward Street last Sunday. No arrests have been made so far. And you're up to date on 98.
98 FM's Dublin Talks. Call 6797981.
And good morning from Adrian Kennedy. I'm here, and over there is Mr. Jeremy Dixon, and we are in the middle of you sharing with us your first world problems. That pathetic problem that you have that really, in the grand scheme of things, isn't a problem. With everything that else is going on in the world, your problem is minuscule in comparison.
Like this one from Gavin. Lads, my first world problem is I feel like I'm back in the 1980s. Last night at around 9 o'clock, for no apparent reason, my baby decided to drop the Sky remote control into the sink. Have you ever tried to watch Sky with no remote control? How do you watch Sky with no remote control?
I know the older Sky boxes have buttons on the top of it and you can adjust the channel up or down.
Yeah, but I don't think the new one does it?
The Sky Q, no, I don't think it does.
So what do you do with no remote control?
I don't know.
And where would you get a replacement remote control?
Power City or anywhere really.
Do they sell them?
Yeah, they all do. Yeah,
well, I'm sorry that the problem with that is they were probably stuck watching the same TV channel for the whole night then. Yeah. Imagine that.
Okay, that's a first world problem. What is your first world problem? Call us right now on 6797981. You can text, you can WhatsApp, you can send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. Luke, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Luke?
How are you, lads?
Luke, what is your first world problem?
My first world problem is running out of smokes. Absolutely nothing worse.
If you're a smoker. If you're not a smoker, it won't bother you running out of them.
Doesn't bother me at all that I've no cigarettes.
That's fair enough. But like after a night out, like you're hungover, you're just dying for a smoke and you've no money and you don't have any smokes, it's absolutely just a killer.
Okay, I'm not a smoker. Yourself and Adrian are. I want to ask you both a question because I've always wondered this, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
What is the line? Can you cross the line in asking a complete stranger for a cigarette? Like, in other words... Say, for instance, lads, I wanted a toffee crisps bar today, yeah? And I saw a man walking towards me, walking down Grafton Street. No, listen, work with me here, okay? Would you stop laughing for a second? Luke, stop laughing.
That's just completely
Come on, just listen, hear me out.
You're walking down Grafton Street.
I love toffee crisps, okay, Luke? So I'm walking down Grafton Street and I see a man coming in front of me holding a toffee crisp. And he's shut up! And he's about to open the wrapper of the toffee crisp, yeah? Luke. Hello?
Yes.
Go on.
He's about to open he hasn't licked the toffee crisp or even put it near his gob, but he's opening the wrapper. I wouldn't in a million years go up to him and say, Can I
scab a toffee crisp off you?
Or can I bum a toffee crisp off you? But it seems that smokers have no line there. I've often seen in smoking areas, say, Tom, who's a smoker.
Okay, here's the thing. Firstly,
okay.
Mr. Toffee Crisp walking up Grafton Street, yeah, probably doesn't have 18 in his inside pocket.
And if he does,
it's a little bit weird, right?
Okay, yeah.
With a smoker, the chances are he may have some extra ones.
Okay.
In his inside pocket, which he may share with you.
That's not the question I'm asking. So,
yeah,
Luke, the question...
It goes for everyone. Like, if you...
But can you ask a complete stranger for a cigarette?
I have done.
I'm sure I wouldn't. If it was a night out, I would, but I wouldn't, like, if I was just walking around.
No, I have with somebody I'd know, say.
Same myself, yeah.
But other than that, no, I wouldn't walk up to the man with the toffee crisp and say, give us a smoke as well while you're at it.
Well, as you said, any man that's walking around with 20 toffee crisps in his pocket should be arrested. Exactly. Should probably be arrested. But I've been in smoking areas with friends on night out, and people have come up to me and said, people I don't know, and said, how are you? You haven't got a cigarette there. And I always find that very strange that you would...
It's just, it's the smokers... code or something.
Unwritten rule.
Yeah, isn't it, Luke?
Smoker social, like, yeah.
Yeah, no, and sometimes if somebody says, can I bum a smoke off you, I'll say, yeah, no problem.
But they have no...
Other times I say no.
But they're not going to give it back to you.
No, of course they're not going to give it back to you, no.
So it's not a loan of a cigarette?
No.
It's they want something... Like, you wouldn't go up to someone in the smoking area and say, that glass of wine you're holding, can I have that, please? Can I bum that glass of wine off you? You wouldn't say that.
No, you wouldn't. It's just a smoker's thing.
Anyway, we're sorry that you've no cigarettes.
Sorry about that, Luke. Good luck. 6797981 is our telephone number. 98 FM does not condone asking randomers on the street, can I have a toffee crisp, please?
I would ask anybody for a toffee crisp.
Erica, what's your first world problem?
I've been waiting the last 2 days to just get a bundle of whitewashing. My teenage daughter's clothes, our little designer t-shirts and whatnot, straight into the washing machine this morning. And as I was cleaning the floor, I noticed a big vibrant red sock
in the wash,
round and round in the wash with all the white t-shirts. They came out pink.
Oh my God! So you've been waiting. I don't know. Have you ever watched Dairy Girls?
No.
Right, there's a brilliant episode of Dairy Girls which is telling your exact story, right? Where the mother spends the whole week trying to get enough white stuff to put on a whitewash, yeah? And then in the middle of the whitewash was something red and it destroyed, and the girls had to go to school wearing pink shirts as part of their school uniform. It's a whole...
No, well, I'll have to hide these clothes before, I'll probably throw them out or fix them before she comes in.
Oh, why, there'll be murder, will there?
Yeah. I'd be the worst parent in the world.
Oh, no.
Now, I remember Adrian admitting a few years ago on the radio that he did that deliberately. He basically ruined himself and his wife's bed sheets with a red sock so that he'd never have to do the washing again. That's a true story, isn't it?
I believe that.
No, you did. Did you not do that?
It didn't work, though.
Oh, did it not?
Because she knows bloody well I'm able to do it.
Sorry, what temperature were you washing them at, by the way?
Oh, she's gone.
What temperature do you have? 40 degrees, nothing will run.
Yeah, well,
we wash everything 40 degrees.
Yeah, but if it's a red sock
with your bed sheets,
yeah,
no, I don't think so.
Yeah, well, Anne Marie, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Anne Marie.
Hi, how are you?
Now it says on my screen here you don't have a first world problem, but you have some news to share.
I do.
Which is?
I proposed on Leap Day to my partner.
Ooh.
Yes, I brought him off to Anfield for the weekend, and or Liverpool for the weekend, and we went to Anfield. And afterwards, then I proposed, and he said yes.
Ah, isn't that lovely?
It's lovely, yes.
And come here, did you get down on bended knee?
No, I didn't.
Oh, that was a step too far.
Yeah, no, I got a card made with our picture on the front, and I gave it to him.
And as a matter of interest, did you give him a ring?
I gave him a watch with an inscription on the back, because he doesn't wear rings.
Oh, okay. Right, so you gave him a watch with an inscription on the back, and he's as happy as Larry. He said yes?
He did, yes, he did, yeah. So we have a second chance at life, the two of us.
That is fantastic news.
And you probably knew he was going to say yes, did you?
Well, I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was hoping he would.
I don't think anybody ever proposes not knowing if they're going to say yes.
Yeah, it happens that people say no.
Who's ever said no?
Quite a lot of people, actually. But he didn't say no. That's the good news. That's fantastic. Thanks very much indeed. Connor, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Connor?
Hey, Adrian. How are you?
Connor,
I'm good.
What is your good news?
I don't have good news. I have a first world problem for you.
Oh, go on.
So my first world problem is I'm a teacher. We're working in a small school, 20 staff, and the tea station's too small for my tea to make a strong tea, you know? So I have to leave my tea bag in my tea, and I think it's disgraceful.
That is disgraceful.
No, if you drink a cup of tea quickly enough, it doesn't matter how there's bag. Are you a bag in or bag out man?
I'm a bag out man myself, but I like a strong tea.
Sorry, who's a bag in man?
Lots of people are bag in men and bag in women, yeah.
Bag in the cup while you're drinking the tea?
Bag in. Leave the bag in, yeah.
Sorry, Katie, you're a bag in woman.
Oh, you think you know somebody, don't you?
Yeah, no, it's disgraceful, and I think it ruins my day, because I hate having the tea bag in the cup.
But
I like the
vile.
strong tea.
It's horrible.
No, it's not. It is.
It tickles your nose and everything. It's disgusting.
It tickles your... What way are you drinking tea? With a snout?
A big schnoz, you know what I mean?
But look, it just doesn't work for me. I can't... I couldn't drink a cup of tea with the bag still in it.
Yeah, I'd be on your side there now, but I have to. I have to for time purposes,
That's very annoying. That's a real first world problem. Thank you, Connor.
I think you'll find, Adrian, by the way, the vast majority of people listening now are bag in people. It's bag in or nothing. Bag in. Leave the bag in. It's not doing any harm.
Absolutely not.
Not doing any harm.
Linda has a first world problem.
Hi, lads. My first world problem is men with brown shoes.
No.
It just gets to me.
Really?
Just looking under the desk.
Bye.
I'm looking under the desk.
Oh, Linda, here, what colour are my shoes there?
They're tan.
Yeah.
Big loafers.
They're not loafers. But they're brown shoes.
They're brown.
Yeah. Oh.
But it's matching.
Sorry about that, Linda.
You're wearing a brown
It matches
shirt.
my gear, doesn't it? Yeah.
I think you look lovely today.
Finally, Amanda, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Amanda?
Hi, Adrian. How are you?
Amanda, what is your first world problem?
My first world problem is I was playing GTA 5 this morning in the middle of loads of missions and my Wi-Fi went off.
Nothing worse.
Horrendous.
Has it ever happened to you, Jeremy?
I couldn't even Google the number either because my internet was gone on my phone.
Are you an online gamer?
No, I wasn't playing online. I was on story mode.
No, I don't play GTA.
But that involves being connected online, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I still needed the internet and it was horrendous and it went off. That's my first world problem.
That is a first world problem, Amanda.
Who's your internet service provider?
DigiWeb. Now, they did fix it eventually.
Well, that's good.
After how long?
Well, I had to go over to my mum, get the number and come back over then. So it was about an hour.
Isn't it
So
amazing?
I failed admissions and everything.
My corn went off when I was at home.
What's he moaning about?
Who's that ruffian in the background?
That's my other half.
Oh, that's your other half. Come here, I want to ask both of you while you're both still there, actually, Amanda, and your other half.
Same.
Bag in or bag out?
Out.
Out, yeah, definitely.
Why? What purpose does it serve taking the bag out?
There's no purpose having it still in there. And what about your fella there? Bag in or bag out?
Depends what bag we're on about.
Tea bag in a cup.
All right, yeah. Bag in all the way.
Oh, well done, good man. I knew he was a sound bloke. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
You want to get rid of him, Amanda?
Oh, no. But
you can't trust a man who wants the bag in.
Imagine breaking up with someone because they like the tea bag in the cup. Why are you ending it with me? I just can't stand you looking at a tea bag in a cup.
Well, okay, so the majority that are texting, it is amazing. It's the little things that people talk about, yeah?
Well, everybody drinks tea, Adrian.
Most people drink tea, yeah. Tell that guy to buy Tetley and use 2 tea bags. Really strong, says Mary.
Or just leave the tea bag
I won't be buying Tetley tea bags, no.
Why? What's your problem with Tetley tea bags?
I buy tea bags made in the European Union, thanks very much.
Oh, jeez.
There you go. So I'll buy Barry's, for example.
Or Typhoon.
No. Not made in the European Union.
They're only made across the water, though.
Yeah. It's not in the European Union.
Okay. So what was the consensus? Bag in or bag out?
Sorry, the consensus is bag out.
I'm surprised. Really am.
You just squeeze the bag enough that the tea is strong enough. There's no need for the bag to remain there. And the tea just getting stronger and milkier.
Jeez, how long do you take to drink a cup of tea?
And finally, my first world problem is I couldn't connect my MacBook to my personal hotspot. Do you even understand what that means? No. That's Jeremy's not very technical, can I just tell you, ladies and gentlemen. That's just gone right over your head.
I've never had a personal hotspot.
You can connect to my personal hotspot if you want.
I don't want to go near your personal hotspot.
Oh. Anyway, thank you.
What would they find on your personal hotspot?
What
would I find in your personal...
The whole world.
No idea what you're talking about.
You're listening to 98 FM's Dublin Talks.
The sound of the city from Lucan to Lusk. Dublin Talks. 98 FM's Dublin Talks.
And this is Adrian Kennedy with you until midday today. Now, next on the programme, the coronavirus is still on everyone's mind at the moment, as even more cases have been revealed. A family of 4, actually, in the west of Ireland, in County Clare, who had been in northern Italy, have contracted the virus. That adds to the other cases that we have had. So that's 6 here in the Republic, 3 in the north, so 9 on the island of Ireland altogether. Now, I'm mentioning this because the conversation we want to have today is all about coronavirus paranoia and whether or not some people, parents in particular, are being too dramatic about the possibility of their children catching the potentially fatal virus. Mind you, I was reading earlier on, for children under 10, there is a 0.2% chance of anything fatal. 0.2%, which is very, very small. Anyway, I'm digressing. In a moment, you're going to hear from a mother who's in this exact position and facing a dilemma this weekend regarding her 6-year-old daughter and a class party that is planned in a kids' party centre on Saturday. And she wants to know whether to let her, and these are her words, by the way, whether to let her daughter go to a mass gathering while the virus is lurking in Ireland. Now, I've 2 questions for you here. Are parents like this being overprotective, or can you understand their paranoia? And second question, are you doing anything differently with your children to keep them safe from the virus? What have you changed in your daily life to protect your children? I'd like to hear from you. On 6797 981, you can text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. Hi guys, a quick one for you. My 6-year-old daughter is invited to a play centre on Saturday for a class friend's birthday party. I'm considering not letting her go because of coronavirus. At the best of times, these play centres are full of germs with kids putting things in their mouths. My partner thinks I'm being stupid and over-dramatic, but surely every parent wants to protect their child. Other parents have texted me to say that they're not letting their kids go either. Now, I would like to hear from you on 6797981. You can text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. Now, we all want to protect our children, and I think that's a kind of a silly statement by Adrian in her Facebook mail. But are you doing your child any favours? Now, we're talking about this weekend. I'm not talking about 4 weeks' time or 6 weeks' time if, God forbid, this virus is a lot worse and a lot more widespread. I'm talking about this weekend. And this Saturday, which is 2 days away, her 6-year-old daughter is invited to a play centre for a friend's birthday party. And she doesn't want to let the child go for fear that the coronavirus is lurking. And they're her exact words. Aisling, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Aisling?
Hi, not too bad.
You've children yourself, have you?
I actually don't have kids.
Right.
I care for my mum. I'm her full-time carer. So we'll be in and out of the hospital probably 3 or 4 times a week.
Okay.
And I work from home, so I try to avoid public outings because she actually has a disease called Sjögren's syndrome. And it's actually low immune system whatsoever. So she got a cold, she gets pneumonia. So this virus is terrifying to us completely. Like if she got it, it would be lethal to her.
Okay, so I can completely understand then why you might have chosen to avoid public places.
Yeah.
Because your mother could be in a bad way if it were passed on to her.
Oh, yeah. And actually, to be honest with you, even before the coronavirus came out, I would be very cautious. I'd always carry hand sanitizer, stuff like that. So now I'm way over the top. I'm like, I wear grooming masks. I'm a dog groomer. So now when we go out, if I have to bring her out, she wears a mask. I have constant covering ourselves in the sanitizers, the alcohol. I was only in Super Value yesterday in our local in Maynooth here. And there's people coughing and sneezing, and I felt like putting the basket down and running out the door. That's how bad I've got.
Okay, now, like I said, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, before we had a case of this virus here in Ireland, would you have run when somebody coughed?
I wouldn't have run, but I'd be disgusted. I'd probably hold my breath for as long as I can because of not wanting to get a cold and bring it into the house here. And then because I'm self-employed, I try to avoid getting sick myself as well.
Okay, but as I said, Aisling, you have a specific and particular reason for being very cautious because of the particular illness that your mum has. She could be in a bad way if she were to contract the coronavirus. So I completely get that. What do you think?
Also,
pardon me?
That lady, young children and elderly are the ones that are at risk. People with
no. Maybe of contracting it, but not of any young children. The death rate in young children is 0.2% or 0.1%. It's minuscule. Okay. It's tiny. For the elderly, it is much more potentially lethal, but for young kids, it's 0.2% chance of something very serious. Yeah. That's the point. No, it's not. It's not.
Oh, so that's good to know.
And I'm looking at I was looking earlier on at a graph of the statistics for deaths surrounding coronavirus, and the least impacted are young children.
Okay.
It's the least amount of deaths from right across the board. I have it here actually. Ages 10 to 19 is 0.2%.
Right.
Ages 20 to 29, 0.2%. 30 to 39, 0.2%. 40 to 49, 0.4%. 50 to 59, 1.3%. And then it goes up, and 80 plus is 14.8%. So it's for the younger you are, the less this is going to impact on.
Can they carry it? That's what I'm wondering.
Yes, they can, I believe. Yeah.
So that's the other risk. There's people that can have it and they're okay. They can carry it to other vulnerable people. So that's the other issue that I'd have as well. But to me, I just think we can't lock ourselves in our homes. We have to leave the house. But I'm like weddings or anything like that. I have a wedding actually coming up in the end of this month.
You going to go?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. That's how I feel. And it's she's a lovely lady. She's a good friend of mine. And just again, it's just a public thing, and it's. I don't know. It's maybe I know people are saying I'm being over the top, but I'd rather be over the top than to risk
than under the top. Yeah.
Than under the exactly.
All right, Aisling. And like I said, in your case, I get it. I do understand why you might want to be a little bit over the top, as you said. Michael sent me this WhatsApp voice note.
My son is 2 this Saturday, and we're having his birthday party in Imaginosti, Sandyford, and then back to McDonald's in Dundrum with loads of adults and kids, and no problems at all taking them anywhere like that.
All right, Michael. Because Adrian has a 6-year-old who's invited to a play centre on Saturday for a class friend's birthday party. I'm considering not letting her go because of coronavirus. At the best of times, these play centres are full of germs, with kids putting all sorts of things into their mouths. My partner thinks I'm being stupid and dramatic, but surely every parent wants to protect their child. Other parents have texted me to say they're considering not letting their kids go either. This is... in fact, I'll play Helen's WhatsApp voice note straight after the break. I'd like to hear from you on 6797981. You can text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. Is this lady being paranoid by not wanting to allow her 6-year-old go to a kid's birthday party on Saturday? Or is she right?
The sound of the city, from Blackrock to Ballyfermot. Dublin Talks. 98 FM's Dublin Talks.
So Adrian got in contact with us, and she wants to know, her husband thinks she's overreacting. She wants to know if she's overreacting. Her 6-year-old daughter is invited to one of these play centres at the weekend for a friend from her school class for the birthday party. I'm considering not letting her go because of coronavirus. At the best of times, their play centres are full of germs, with kids putting things in their mouths. My partner thinks I'm being stupid and dramatic, but surely every parent wants to protect their child. Now, interestingly, you do say in your message, Adrian, that it's a class friend's birthday party. So I assume it'll be the class that are at the birthday party. And are you still letting your child go to school with the class? I assume you are. So what's the difference? I know you mentioned germs in the play centre. Yeah, I don't quite get the difference, to be quite honest with you. Mary, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Mary?
I'm very well. How are you?
Now, Mary, you're listening to us in Sydney in Australia.
I am, yeah.
And you sent us a message there a couple of minutes ago about if we think things are bad here, come live in Australia.
Yes. So we are in serious demand of toilet paper, of all things.
You've a shortage of toilet paper?
Well, not that we've a shortage, it's just that everybody is buying up the toilet paper. People are walking out of supermarkets with trolleys full of toilet paper, hand sanitizer, and all the general things to stay safe, of course, when this coronavirus is taking over. We've had 2 deaths in Australia, one in Perth and one in Sydney 2 days ago, and it has become a bit of a joke now at the moment with the toilet paper situation.
Now, we do have a similar situation with the hand sanitizers here. You can't get hand sanitizer for love nor money now. But I didn't realise there was a run on toilet roll as well. Now, maybe we're having this problem, but I think we've enough toilet roll to last us. But anyway, I had heard people saying here that toilet roll is an issue, but in Australia they're fighting over it.
Literally fighting over it. Yes, I saw 2 women yesterday fighting over a trolley full of toilet paper.
Really?
Really, yes, absolutely. I couldn't believe it myself when I saw it.
Now, okay,
it is becoming a lasting stock.
So Australia is actually a bit ahead of us in that there have been 2 deaths, sadly, as a result of the coronavirus. Is it being treated by some people with paranoia there as well?
Yes, so we live in the eastern suburbs of Sydney, and it is a multicultural part of the city, and people often wear face masks, but now there is a lot more. And between the rain and the whole pressure of the coronavirus, you can see the place is quietening down a lot more.
Yeah.
So I think people are actually starting to stay inside and kind of...
So say where you are in Sydney. For example, here in Dublin, there has been one confirmed case of coronavirus in Dublin. Now, there's been another 4 in County Clare, another 1 in County Meath. But here in Dublin, one confirmed case of coronavirus. How many confirmed cases have there been in Sydney?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sorry.
How many confirmed cases have there been in Sydney?
I'm not quite sure now. I think we're up in the... I think we're around 20 or so.
Around 20, okay. So it's a lot more than just one.
I'm not sure now. Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes, there has been a few. There was actually a doctor who was found to be treating patients, and he was confirmed with coronavirus. And now they're calling all his patients to go into 2 weeks quarantine.
Right, okay. That's the last thing you need.
He was dealing out of a hospital in Royd, which was just the other side of the Harbour Bridge. So, yes, it is definitely...
And what about you? Have you changed anything? Are you doing anything differently?
Oh, God, not at all.
No, not at all. There's a real Irish...
Going to work and coming home.
There's a real Irish attitude if ever I heard it. Oh, not at all, no.
Not at all.
All right, Mary, lovely to talk to you, and thanks for listening to us in Sydney. I'd like to hear from you on 6797981. Text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. We're talking about a message from a lady whose 6-year-old is being invited to a class friend's birthday party on Saturday in one of those play centre places, and Mammy doesn't want to let her go because of coronavirus. Now, some people will say, fair play to that, Mammy. You can't put your kids... you can't protect your children enough. And if that's her way of protecting her child, fair play to her. Others, though, are arguing this is ridiculous. We have one case here in Dublin. We have another case in County Meath. And then a family of 4 in County Clare. Now, there may well be other people who haven't been diagnosed yet, and we may hear with the press conference later today of more cases. But at this moment, this lady isn't letting her child go to the party on Saturday. Tomas, you're on 98 FM. How are you?
Not too bad, Adrian. Yourself?
Good, thank you. Now, what did you want to say on this?
I just want to say that basically the people make panic because I was on Dublin Airport on Tuesday night. I didn't see any panic around Dublin Airport. Nobody asked where I coming from. Only persons was worried was the taxi drivers. The first question when the taxi driver asked me, where are you coming back from? I told him I'm coming back from Canary Islands. He said, that's fair enough. If you be from Italy, I never be let you in the taxi. So basically, I think there's more panic or actually that virus is make damage.
You see, I do think there is a bit of a balance to be struck here between not taking this seriously and taking it far too seriously. Somewhere in the middle is the way to deal with this.
I'm kind of in the middle, Adrian. Okay, since that virus was founded, I use stuff to wash my hands more, or I used to use it, right? But that's the only thing I change. Not other thing I was changes in the time routine. So.
Okay, but are you taking preventative measures like washing your hands and all of that?
Yeah, but that's only because I work in the food industry. So I'm supposed to do that every single time I have a dirty hands, but now I do twice more, or I used to do it. So that's only one precaution I do it.
Okay, stay there for 1 second, Tomas. 6797981 is our telephone number. You can text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. We're asking whether or not you should prevent your children, your 6-year-old in this case, going to a kid's birthday party in one of those play centre places of the weekend. She doesn't want to let her kid go. In fact, I heard of somebody else who was having a birthday party next week for her child in her house and inviting about 40 people and is now considering cancelling that. Angela, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Angela.
Hi, Adrian. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Angela. Now, you think this mammy is completely right?
Better safe than sorry. That's the way I look at it. I mind a couple of kids there, and I was contemplating taking them to a play bar and taking them to Iran, but I'm actually not going to now. I'm going to bring them out to the Garda, bring them down there for a couple of hours, let them run around. You don't know where kids have been, where people have been, if they've been close.
But you
to
could say that. You could say that every minute of every day.
No, you can't.
For all sorts of illnesses.
Oh, for all sorts of illnesses, yes. But this is an illness that is actually killing people. It's not like getting the flu. It's not like getting, a little cold. It's not like, picking up, not measles, something for them, like. But the way I look at it is better safe than sorry. The same with the rugby being cancelled. I'm delighted the rugby's cancelled. Because there's so many...
There are those who argue, it is what it is, and it has been cancelled. It was meant to take place this Saturday. But...
I'm going.
I was about to say, anecdotally, I understand a load of Italians are coming over here tomorrow anyhow.
Yeah,
anyhow,
but you're not going to have, all of them in one place. And to be very honest, I would stop them coming in. I would stop travel from Italy at the moment.
Okay, so you want to see all flights from Italy stopped?
All flights from Italy stopped. All of them.
What's that going to do?
It's going to stop it being carried over here.
I could drive from Italy to Ireland tomorrow if I wanted to. So you're going to stop the ferries as well?
Sorry, can you hear me?
I said I could drive from Italy to Ireland tomorrow if I wanted to.
Well, the way I look at it, Adrian, is I'm not going to go anywhere that I might get it. So why shouldn't everyone just, for a month, just stay indoors and just stick to staying to yourself and try and get rid of this out of the country and stop people coming in?
So stop people coming in, stay indoors. Yeah. So are you going to stay indoors then for the next month?
No, but what I'm saying is if that is what it calls for, I can't stay indoors because I'm my kids. But what I'm saying is...
So what, you're waiting to be told to stay indoors, are you?
Yeah, I think that they should. Well, not stay indoors. I'll go to work and come back. But I'll stay in the houses, go... If that's what it has to take, this is killing people, Adrian. It's actually killing people. So if we have to do this...
But sorry to cut across you, Angela. Yes, it is killing people, okay? And people have died, and that is very tragic. But we need to point out that catching coronavirus is not going to kill you, by and large, on average.
By and large, on average, right? But
in fact, some people, it's estimated, sorry to cut across you, Angela, it's estimated that some people have had the virus, gotten over the virus, and never even realised they had the virus. It can be that mild in some people.
That mild in some people, but I'll tell you, my sister has also problems with her respiratory, right? Between asthma with her breathing. And I would be very worried for her to get it. The two kids that I mind have asthma. And that's where it hits. Is the respiratory system.
No, I understand all of that. And people with respiratory issues anyhow are more likely to be affected by this. And I completely understand. Put it this way, if I had CPOD or some illness like that, I wouldn't go outside my front door. That's the truth of it, because you could be in big trouble if you contract it. So that's that. But I don't have CPOD. My kids don't have CPOD. And most people listening to us don't have CPOD.
COPD.
Or whatever,
when I look at it, right, anyone that is coming from Italy, we have to look at it this way, right? Anyone that's coming home from Italy, they are a higher risk of carrying it or getting it. Isn't it that we looked at?
Okay, if you were in town of the weekend, Angela, and you happened to come across somebody Italian, would you run to the other side of the road?
Good luck, I'd be gone. I'm not going near town this weekend. Not going near it because of the match.
Okay.
I would stop all the flights coming in because that's where it's being carried from. All of the cases here have been brought from Italy. So why are we letting mass people from Italy come into the country?
All right. We were talking about a fight in the shop in Australia, and a couple of people who live in Australia who listen to the show regularly have sent us a screen grab here. And this is from 9 News in Australia. A man has been tasered by police after an argument broke out over toilet paper at a Big W store. So it's actually a thing. They're killing each other over toilet paper. Veronica, I'm going to talk to you straight after the break. You also believe people are being a bit over the top over this whole thing?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, stay there for 1 second. Angela, hang on the line there for 1 second as well. Back in a second.
The sound of the city from Clondalkin to Clontarf. Dublin Talks. 98 FM's Dublin Talks.
Adrian sent us this message, and I want to get your reaction, and I want to find out if you are feeling the same way. Her 6-year-old daughter has been invited to a class friend's birthday party this Saturday. It's in one of those plays-only party places. I'm not naming a particular place, by the way. You know the sort of place I'm talking about. Anyhow, she says, at the best of times, these places are full of germs with kids putting things in their mouths. My partner thinks I'm being stupid and dramatic, but surely every parent wants to protect their child. I'd like to hear from you and find out whether or not she is being over the top. Veronica, you think this is a bit over the top?
Yeah, I do. I do. I do think it's over the top a bit. Do you know that if it was that such a crisis, would they not have William and Kate, that royal couple? I mean, they're going around and they're meeting people left, right, and centre, shaking hands, breathing on them. You know what I mean? And they're joking about the meeting Leo Varadkar. These things would have been cancelled if that was the case. And by the way, those play zone centres, I mean, they're not. They have cleaned quite well. And I have to say, because I've cleaned at one of those places, and they're cleaned quite well.
Okay, so are you doing anything differently? Would you stop going to a public gathering or anything like that?
No, not at all. I mean, I'll be at a gathering tonight for the refugee solidarity for what's going on in Greece. I'll be going down to that, no problem. The only thing I'm putting, I kind of covering my mouth a bit more. You're afraid to cough when you're on the bus as everyone's giving you a look. And see, you said that. I know, it's true. A little cough and everyone's kind of looking sideways at you. And I've noticed, to be honest, yes, on the bus, the bus will be full, and yes, there's a Chinese person sitting on their own. Someone won't sit beside them. That is happening. I've seen it.
I've seen it myself. I'll
go sit beside them.
But I mean, I heard Angela just a second ago saying if she saw Italians this weekend in Dublin, she'll run to the far side of the road.
But well, for her own comfort, I suppose, if that keeps her happy. I think people are just panicking. It's the latest panic, and it's because of social media and then all the wrong info going out. People panic buying antibacterial soap or wash, but it's not even a bacteria. It's soap. Just wash your hands. How do people not wash their hands before all this?
Well, it would appear because we've had to be taught how to wash their hands, which seems ridiculous.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
Because we should all be washing our hands all the time, night and day, and we shouldn't have to be told to wash our hands. Victoria, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Victoria?
Great. How are you, Adrian?
Good, thank you. You're a mammy?
Yeah.
You've heard from another mammy here, Adrian, who is contemplating not letting her kid go to the friend's birthday party on Saturday. Is that over the top?
Really over the top. My son is waiting on a package from China of Lego figures, and he keeps asking me, when is it coming through Amazon, and it's being kept in customs.
And now he's worried. He's only 7 and he's saying, oh, Mum, will I get coronavirus off that package? You know, it's gone beyond a joke, I think, at this stage.
And let's just clarify, by the way, that anybody who's ordered a package from China or anywhere like that, the chances of you have more chance of winning the national lottery than...
I know that, and I tried to explain that to him, but he's 7 and he's hearing all this. And
that's what I was about to say. This is the sort of paranoia that's even being bred into our kids now.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's wrong to create such a huge panic over this, you know. I mean, I do understand if I had a sick child now or if I had a sick parent, I'd probably be very, very careful, extra careful. But I don't think we should just stop our lives, you know, at this stage.
Yeah, no, and look, I don't want to be in any way seen to be making little of this because we don't know how bad this is going to get here in Ireland. We don't.
And if it gets bad, you know, we can deal with it then. But I think at the moment, there's a lot of panic.
Yeah, no, at the moment...
I couldn't get rice or pasta.
Because people are buying that up because it's the sort of food you can keep in your press for 2 weeks.
That's it, yeah. And my other daughter's at a party Saturday and Sunday, a house party on Sunday and a party in Dundrum on Saturday. And I certainly won't be stopping her from going.
Now, Angela, you think that's mad?
I do, because that's exactly what I'm talking about. We wait until it becomes an epidemic. We wait until it's a crisis. Why shouldn't we prevent it being a crisis first? Why should we wait until...
if they want to prevent it being a crisis, then, you know, I mean, Russia, I don't think, have a case. I mean, why is that? Because they closed their borders ages ago, as far as I know. So that's the way they deal with things. But obviously we don't deal with it. And I don't have the power to close the borders, so I'm just going to get on with my life the way I can. Right now, I'm not terrifying my children.
But they don't have it because they closed the borders.
But you see, here's the thing, Angela. You're talking about people should be self-isolating and we should nearly shut the country down. The reality of it is, let's imagine it was announced tomorrow that we're shutting the country down for 2 weeks and we're all staying indoors. Then 2 weeks after, somebody comes with the virus, and sure, that was a pointless exercise.
Well, test everyone that's coming into the country.
But also, I did hear, I don't know if this is true, but I did hear also that there was a woman in China that got it twice.
Yeah, that's right, yes.
She was cured.
And it has been suggested that if you were to get it again, it's milder the second time round. But I don't know. I'm not an expert. Anyway, in Italy, for example, there have been 107 deaths in Italy out of 3,089 cases, which is a higher percentage than elsewhere, it seems. But your point is, Victoria, that... while we're in the situation we're in at this moment, life just should continue as normal.
And we'll just take precautions, obviously, but just continue as normal and don't terrify our kids. I mean, my child's terrified.
That is awful that a 7-year-old is feeling that way.
It's ridiculous.
Angela, let me go back. Oh, she's gone. I was going to ask her about the St. Patrick's Day parade and whether or not it should be cancelled. The health authorities are saying that at this moment there is no need to cancel the St. Patrick's Day festivities. That could change, but at this moment they're saying the way things are at this very moment there is no need to cancel it. Adrian says this message: I run a social media page for a kids' first-year disco in South Dublin, and getting messages to say it's irresponsible to run a disco on Friday the 13th of March. Parents are telling their kids not to go. Personally, I think it's all over the top, but if anything was to happen that someone has it, you would be taken to the cleaners. So you're damned if you do or damned if you don't. Yeah, all right. Where am I going now? I'm going to Leanne. You're on 98 FM. Hi, Leanne.
Hi, how are you?
Would you let... You have a 2-year-old?
I do, yeah.
Would you let your 2-year-old go to a party this weekend? Well, it might be...
I wouldn't, no.
You wouldn't?
No.
Would you let a 6-year-old go?
No.
Why?
I wouldn't let them go because in my situation, I have my mum at home who's 51. She has COPD disease and is waiting on defibrillator on her heart because she's in heart failure.
Okay.
So as a precautionary measure, I wouldn't be bringing her anywhere that she didn't need to go.
Okay, and again, I'm not going to argue with you on that. I can understand why you would be like that, where you have a mum with COPD, because it could be, if she were to contract this illness, it could be very serious for her. So I completely understand that, and I wouldn't belittle that at all. And obviously, by not letting your child mingle with others, then you're reducing the risk.
Yeah, reducing the risk. Just taking precaution. I mean, there's no need to be scaring kids either. Like, no one's saying don't go to work, don't go about your normal business, but just be mindful. Because there are people living with long-term illnesses and who are in a more compromised situation. And, I mean, we all know someone who can be ill, and it's just about being mindful.
Okay, and Victoria, I'm sure you can understand that when she's got a mammy at home with COPD, which is a chronic lung condition, by the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would be very careful around her mum. I mean, I completely understand that. But just for the general public that aren't sick and that have to go to work, and for the kids that have to go to school and there's exams on and all that, I think we should just hold fire for now. And, if it gets worse,
deal with it if it gets worse, exactly. And one last call, and that's you, Karen. You have a child, Karen, with an underlying health condition, not respiratory, but tell me what happened when you consulted a doctor about coronavirus.
Yeah, like, he does have a very serious underlying medical condition, but as a precaution, I just emailed his consultant yesterday to say, look, should I do anything outside the norm? Should I practice isolation with him? What do you recommend? And she said, no, absolutely no need to do anything outside the norm. Just follow the guidelines of the HSE for the moment, and we can revisit it kind of down the line if we need to, but absolutely no need to do anything outside the norm. And he's actually going to a birthday party next weekend. Okay, so you were reassured by your child's consultant. Yeah, now I was a bit panicked before now because, like that, it is sort of getting out of control a little bit, but I am a bit more reassured about it. And like that, if we need to revisit it in a while, well then, we'll do that. But for the moment, she said stick to the norm. Just go about your day as normal. Okay, well, that's nice to hear. So you do feel a little bit reassured. And one final message that's just come into us. My mum has COPD also. Are we supposed to wait until someone dies before we take it seriously? People aren't even washing their hands. I would, as I said to you, if I had COPD or if I had somebody close to me that had COPD, I wouldn't go outside my front door because I know the potential impact of this virus on somebody like that. Okay, so I completely understand that. But for the average healthy individual, we're being told that life should continue as normal. We're being told, well, we're certainly not being told not to allow our 6-year-olds go to birthday parties. So a lot of people think this is paranoia. Obviously, nobody can tell you how to look after your children. And if, Adrian, you feel better not allowing your child to go to a birthday party on Saturday, that's up to you. That's completely your choice. Anyway, look, thank you very much indeed for all of your calls. We're swamped with calls. We could take them all day. It's one of those things that people are just talking about all day, every day. We'll continue the conversation tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Have a great Thursday. I'm Adrian Kennedy and Barry Dunn is next. Some great music lined up in the next hour, like these.
Just hold on, we're going home. The sound of the city, from Coolock to Cabinteely. Dublin Talks. 98 FM's Dublin Talks.